Before you make that move here to Michigan in 2025, you need to check out these real pros and cons about living here in Michigan. Now, I've lived in Michigan my whole entire life, and well, the exception of the year, my wife and I moved to California, but we ultimately moved back. And there's some things I absolutely love about living here in Michigan, but there's also some things I wish were completely different. So make sure you stick around to the end so you know all the pros and all the cons, because we're getting into that right now. And if you're new to me and new to my channel, welcome. My name is Eric, and my team and I have helped hundreds of people in your exact shoes make that move here to Michigan, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're moving in 1 month or 1 year from now, do not hesitate to get a hold of us. All my contact information is down below. And now let's take a look at the pros and cons of living here in Michigan in 2025, so you're up to date on everything you need to know before moving here. All right, coming in at pro number 1 is the overall scenery that we have here in Michigan. And I'm not lying when I say, like, anytime you go on vacation in Michigan, whether it's northern Michigan, western Michigan, eastern, like, there is always a beautiful backdrop somewhere for a picture. There is no shortage of beautiful Mother Nature right here in Michigan. Okay. I know that kind of sounds cliche. If you're somebody that, lives in like New York or Chicago, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's great. Like trees and all that stuff. Like, I'm not kidding. So if you're looking for something like that, I would say this is a big pro for a lot of outdoor enthusiasts who love to be outside, or maybe you're a photographer and you just love traveling around taking beautiful photos. I mean, head up to the Sleeping Bear Sand Dunes, go over to Picture Rock. Those are breathtaking places that you wouldn't even think are in Michigan. If I just showed you pictures of those on their own and said, guess where these places are, I guarantee the last place you would guess is Michigan, but they are here in our state. So when it comes to natural beauty and the outdoors, that is definitely a pro for Michigan. And coming in at pro number 2, well, it's the economy here in Michigan. And this might be a little bit of a controversial one, but I'm classifying this as a pro. So when it comes to the economy here in Michigan, we're predominantly driven by the automotive industry, but that's kind of changing. Even though automotive has a big, strong hold on the economy in Southeast Michigan, there's still a ton more going on in the other industries that we have here in Michigan. Education is a big one. Healthcare is a big one. Tourism, surprisingly enough, is even a big one. And then the big one that comes to mind when I look at a lot of change in the economy in Michigan is tech. And tech is coming, whether we like it or not. It's already here, and you see a lot of the jobs and a lot of the companies that are moving their headquarters here to Michigan or opening up new branches, here in Michigan, places like Google, Amazon. These companies are choosing Michigan because of the talent pool that we have here, and they're able to attract a lot of software engineers, hardware engineers, and people that are working in the tech world. It's getting bigger and bigger because a lot of these high-paying tech jobs, when you look at it, you're like, do I want to live in California? Do I want to live in New York? Or would I like to live in Michigan and get paid the same, but a lower cost of living, which is a lot of the conversations that I've been having with folks that are moving here for those tech jobs specifically. And coming in at pro number 3 is the education system we have here in Michigan, specifically the higher education. We got some top ranked universities, and someone who grew up here, I didn't really realize that. I always grew up as a house divide, Michigan versus Michigan State. That was the rivalry. And I was like, oh, that's cool. A lot of other states don't have that. They don't have 2 Big Ten schools in their state to even rival with. So, we got 2 great universities, and those are the big ones. I mean, people come from around the world. University of Michigan is known for their healthcare. They have a great engineering school, and Michigan State is really well known for their agriculture program as well as their supply chain program. That was a rival for us at Western Michigan University. We always were kind of going back and forth, like, who has a better supply chain program. And coming in at pro number 4 is Metro Detroit Pride, and it's all about the people who live here.
You guys are unbelievable, man.
That's one thing for certain. If you are visiting Michigan or you're going to be living here, one thing that I hear time and time again, the people are absolutely freaking amazing. I love all of you guys. If you're local here in Michigan or a Michigander, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The people here are just absolutely amazing. Now, are there a few bad apples here in the state of Michigan? Of course there are. But majority of the people that I meet here in Michigan are absolutely amazing. And I've lived in California, and I swear I did not have this vibe out there. If you're in Detroit, there's people there from all over the world. We had clients come in from Australia, and they spent a couple weeks in Detroit. And one of the things they said to me was, Eric, I love the people here. I am so drawn to how friendly and welcoming. And when it comes to Detroit and the Metro Detroit area, or Michigan for that matter, they said it holds a special place in our heart, and we're looking forward to helping them find a place here in Michigan very soon. And coming in at pro number 5 is the affordable living. Well, relatively, with a kind of little asterisk behind it, because there are certain places here in Michigan that are more expensive than others. But generally speaking, the average home here in Michigan is going to run you right around $275,000. But in terms of where people want to live, places like Novi, Birmingham, throw Detroit in there too. And Detroit prices, I hear it all the time. Yes, these places can be a little bit more expensive, and I would say they're more on par with at or above the national average. You're looking at about 400, 450 in a lot of those places, but there are still a lot more affordable places. If you're looking north of Metro Detroit, you can get into, some cities like Bay City, Saginaw, and those will be more affordable. So lots of great pros of living here in Michigan, but let's take a look at some cons. All right, coming into con number 1, and I would say this is the most commented con that I've seen on the channel whatsoever, is the weather. Now, guys, I can't change the weather, but yes, we do have winter here in Michigan. We do get snow. It does get cold. We have rain, but we also have a lot of sunshine. We have a lot of water. We have a lot of greenery. We have a lot of seasons. We got 4 of them. So when it comes to the weather here in Michigan, people complain about the winter all the time. And the one thing I will say is just be prepared for it. But when it comes to snow, I think I've shoveled my driveway once this whole entire year, and it is mid-January right now as I'm shooting this video. So timestamp this, mid-January. I may have to knock on wood because I might be out shoveling snow tomorrow, right? That's just the nature of the winter here. We just kind of never know what's going to happen. But overall, the winters have been more mild as of late. And if you are looking for more snow, the northern part of Michigan obviously gets a lot more, the western side of the state. So it really just depends on where you're at in Michigan. And coming in at con number 2 is the infrastructure challenges that we're faced with here in Southeast Michigan. Now, not every city goes through as severe or as big infrastructure challenges. And if you look at kind of how Metro Detroit and Detroit was really built, it was built in the late 1800s, early 1900s is really when things started really kind of growing. So everything we have here is minimum 100 years old, if not more. I would say probably 120 years old. So all the utilities like water, sewer, electrical, all of these are very old.
Oh yeah, really old stuff.
But that's the reality of it. And I'll give you a closer example. I live in Brighton, and Brighton just went through a major downtown renovation, and they had to replace over 100-year-old waterways. And these things were actually made out of wood. Like, believe it or not, they dug up the street and they pulled the waterway out, and it was all wood. Like, it was absolutely the wildest thing I've ever seen. People are just like shocked that water was even still going through those things. But they had to replace it. And next up, con number 3 is the lack of public transportation we have here in Michigan. Now, this is a common thing across all cities, and I'll say some cities are a little bit better than others. One city that does come to mind is Ann Arbor. They do have a pretty decent public transportation. That's bus. You don't have a lot of rail here at all. Like, you might see a few in Detroit. You got the Q line, you got the People Mover. But when it comes to trains, this is not like New York, not like Chicago. You can't take a train from Traverse City all the way down to Detroit. Well, very quickly for that matter. So when it comes to public transportation, you can just really write it off. And next up, con number 4 is the state income tax. And I just wish they would do away with this. Like, the state income tax, there is no state income tax in a lot of other states. And a lot of people leave Michigan specifically for those states because of the state income tax. It's 4.5%, of your income, which I just wish they would do away with. I don't know that we're really funding a whole lot with the state income tax. And if you look at, what they just did with the congestion fees for New York, like, that's absolutely wild. Like, it's not that bad here in Michigan, but the state income tax is one that it just bothers me. Like, I just wish we just got done away with it. And con number 5, which comes from you guys, is the lack of fences that we have here in Michigan. Now, I always thought this was kind of crazy when I started talking about fences, or I even considered adding this one into as a con, but I talked to more and more people about buying a home here. And one of the things that comes up so often is, hey, I saw this house online. Can we have fences there? So when you're looking for a house, we just got to make sure you're in the right neighborhood or that HOA does allow fences, but it's not commonplace, right? And that's really the con that I think you guys should take away from this is fences are not commonplace. So if you do want a fence, we just need to talk about it and find you the right location. And ultimately, finding the right place to live here in Michigan comes down to your lifestyle, your priorities, and the amenities that you might be seeking on a daily basis. So when it comes to moving here, make sure you reach out. All my contact information is down below. And if you got a ton of value out of this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. It lets YouTube know we're doing a great job, and it can share it with more people looking to move here to Michigan. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, tap that little bell so you're the first to learn every time I come out with a new video, which is every single week. And I got some other videos all about living here in Michigan that I want you to check out. And I will see you on the next one.